story is called The Gruffalo's Child, and it's written by Julia Donaldson, and we know lots of her books already. Whilst I'm reading, I want you to think about where the story takes place. This is called the setting. Listen to the words and look at the pictures to help you work out the where in this story. We'll have a little quiz at the end of the video. Let's have a look at the cover of the book. I can see the name of the author and the illustrator, and the title of the book, The Gruffalo's Child. I bet that must be the Gruffalo's child sitting on the Gruffalo's lap. Can you see someone peeping behind the tree? It looks like a little mouse. It might give us a clue about the story. Let's have a look at the blurb. We'll find out some more. One night, the Gruffalo's child wanders into the woods to search for the big bad mouse. Instead, she comes upon a small mouse in the woods and decides to eat him. But wait, what is that? A shadow of a very large, scary creature falls on the ground, and suddenly the Gruffalo's child is frightened. Could it be the big bad mouse after all? Well, this story sounds like a big adventure and a little bit scary maybe. I hope it's going to be good. Let's read and find out. The Gruffalo said that no Gruffalo should ever set foot in the deep dark wood. Why not? Why not? Because if you do, the big bad mouse will be after you. I met him once, said the Gruffalo. I met him a long time ago. What does he look like? Tell us, Dad. Is he terribly big and terribly bad? I can't quite remember, the Gruffalo said. Then he thought for a minute and scratched his head. The big bad mouse is terribly strong, and his scaly tail is terribly long. His eyes are like pools of terrible fire, and his terrible whiskers are tougher than wire. One snowy night, when the Gruffalo snored, the Gruffalo's child was feeling bored. The Gruffalo's child was feeling brave, so she tiptoed out of the Gruffalo cave. The snow fell fast, and the wind blew wild. Into the wood went the Gruffalo's child. Aha! Oh ho! A trail in the snow! Whose is this trail, and where does it go? A tail poked out of a log pile house. Could this be the tail of the big bad mouse? Out slid a creature. His eyes were small, and he didn't have whiskers. No, none at all. You're not the mouse. Not I, said the snake. He's down by the lake eating Gruffalo cake. The snow fell fast, and the wind blew wild. I'm not scared, said the Gruffalo's child. Aha! Oh ho! Marks in the snow. Whose are these claw marks? Where do they go? Two eyes gleamed out of a treetop house. Could these be the eyes of the big bad mouse? Down flew a creature. His tail was short, and he didn't have whiskers of any sort. You're not the mouse. Hoo-hoo, not I, but he's somewhere nearby, eating Gruffalo pie. The snow fell fast, and the wind blew wild. I'm not scared, said the Gruffalo's child. Aha! Oh ho! A track in the snow. Whose is this track, and where does it go? Whiskers at last, and an underground house. Could this be the home of the big bad mouse? Out slunk a creature. His eyes weren't fiery, his tail wasn't scaly, his whiskers weren't wiry. You're not the mouse. Oh no, not me. He's under a tree drinking Gruffalo tea. It's all a trick, said the Gruffalo's child, as she sat on a stump where the snow lay piled. I don't believe in the big bad mouse. But here comes a little one out of his house. Not big, not bad, but a mouse at least. You'll taste good as a midnight feast. Wait, said the mouse. Before you eat, there's a friend of mine that you ought to meet. If you'll let me hop onto a hazel twig, I'll beckon my friend so bad and big. The Gruffalo's child unclenched her fist. The big bad mouse! So he does exist. The mouse hopped onto the hazel tree. He beckoned, then said, just wait and see. Out came the moon. It was bright and round. A terrible shadow fell onto the ground. Who is this creature, so big, bad and strong? His tail and his whiskers are terribly long. His ears are enormous, and over his shoulder he carries a nut as big as a boulder. The big bad mouse! Yelled the Gruffalo's child. The mouse jumped down from the twig and smiled. Aha! Oh-ho! Prints in the snow. Whose are these footprints? Where do they go? The footprints led to the Gruffalo cave, where the Gruffalo's child was a bit less brave. The Gruffalo's child was a bit less bored. And the Gruffalo snored and snored and snored. The end. At the start of this story, I asked you to work out the setting of the story. I wanted you to listen to the words and look at the pictures to help you work out where the story took place. Let's see what answers you got. The setting of this story started in a cave, the home of the Gruffalo and the Gruffalo's child. And the setting was also in the forest, where all of the animals lived. Have you ever thought about how important the setting is in a story? If there was no cave, where would the Gruffalo's child have lived? If there was no forest, none of those animals would have been in the story. So imagine if the story had a different setting. Imagine something like this. Or even a setting like this one. Suddenly you would have a very different story altogether, wouldn't you?